if you're good enough, you're old enough policy, which has been a feature of his tenure thus far. So there he is, Andy Keogh returns to the club. He was asked this week, when were you going to return? Were you always going to return? And he confirmed it, and he said, as long as there was a turnover in staff. So make of that what you will, but the main thing is for Perth Glory fans, he is back in purple, and what a partnership that could be with Bruno Fornaroli, the 9 and 10 up front for the home side. And it's a happy birthday to a couple of days ago to this young man. Yaya Dakuli celebrated his 18th birthday last Sunday. When asked what he did for his 18th birthday, he said, same as I always do. Hung out with Al Hassan and Mohamed Toure and the rest of the Toure boys. Close family friends in Adelaide there. So happy birthday, happy 18th birthday to Yaya, and happy 100th A-League game to Jordan Elsey, who has the armband for Adelaide United. So in the West, this long wait for a return to A-League football is almost over. 318 days. And we are about set again as Perth Glory set their sights on another successful campaign. Made the finals the last 4 of the last 5 seasons. That's after making the finals just once in their first 6 A-League seasons. We're underway in the West. Perth Glory sending it downfield straight away, and Robbie Slater will see if Perth Glory hit the ground running or they need to feel their way into this new campaign.
Well, there's no doubt that they were very enthusiastic to get started. Look, they're coming against an Adelaide side who've had 17 days off as well, so you know, in that sort of sense it's fairly even. So they're both raring to go. The pitch is perfect. Lots of new faces. Diego Castro, obviously a big loss for them, but Keogh is the one that maybe balances that out.
We'll see how these two link up. So Fornaroli in the channel and Michael Morone paying close attention. Fornaroli's able to get off an early shot. It's skewed, but a positive start for the home side.
Yeah, it's such a key. I mean, 13 goals in 28 games for Bruno Fornaroli, leading scorer, of course, for Perth Glory. But in the last 9 games, only 1. So he'll be looking to get back to goal-scoring ways. It'll be interesting to see how they operate. Fornaroli, you know, Keogh's one that likes to go in beyond. You know, he's not averse to coming to the ball, but Fornaroli, of course, so clever back to goal. So it might be the perfect foil.
And look at that statistic, Robbie. These last few games between these two clubs, last 3, in fact, 17 goals between them. There was a 5-3 at the end of last season, and who can forget that 6-goal thriller with the penalty shootout that we thought was never going to end. 8 shots apiece at HBF Park when Marco Kurtz was in charge of Adelaide United. And Perth Glory got themselves through to a home grand final, which they let slip on penalties themselves the week after against Sydney FC. It's a bit of a miscued early touch there from Daningham. Hoping for more of the same tonight, Robbie, in terms of goals.
Well, it'd be nice, but not for the coaches, I don't think.
No, I can't imagine Richard Garcia. That's the aim defensively for his side this evening in his first home game as Glory coach. There's Fornaroli just playing in that deeper role, and Callum Timmins in the middle of the park there for Perth, and it's an early look for Andy Keogh. Steins nods it down. Adelaide are scrambling to get it away. Here's Steins again. Back to Timmins. Keogh. Rawlins has come in from right back. Kilkenny. Adelaide just stacked numbers behind the ball, and they needed to right there, and Coletti can break through Urich. And out to Yaya Dakuli, who's in a foot race with Daningham. It's good early signs there for Perth.
Yeah, promising. I thought Keogh was going to pull the trigger there and elected to go just clip it to the back post, but they got quite narrow, just lacked a bit of width in the end, that attack. And Adelaide were able to break that down. Anyone?
Centre defensive pairing for Perth Glory is Jonathan Aspapadides and also Daryl Latchman. Oh, it's a nice ball. It's dangerous and has Jakobsen stretching to hold off Keogh. Heavily involved on his return already inside 5 minutes, Andy Keogh.
A little bit more pace on that ball, and I think Jakobsen was beaten.
Richard Garcia. Successful playing career over in England, notably in the Premier League with Hull City. Played in West Ham and a lot of youth teams that had a lot of success. Coming back to the A-League and playing with a few clubs, including Perth Glory. Latchman and Kilkenny. The on-field coach, as you can hear. Nothing's changed, even under the new manager. Latchman has a bit of space to operate in now. Saw Keogh come deep and then try to spring the offside line as well. And instead it comes right to the 16-year-old making his A-League debut, Josh Rawlins. In it comes from Timmins. Has not a bad shape to it.
Yeah, it was a good idea. Just didn't wrap his boot around it quite enough, and it's a good start from Perth. Rawlins getting forward down this right-hand side.
You know what it's like to make your top league debut in as a teenager, Robbie, but he didn't look out of place in the Champions League, Josh Rawlins, in his appearances over there in Doha.
And that's where that experience, and we talked about it at the time, was crucial for their A-League campaign.
He played in 4 of the 5 matches in Doha in that hub-based Champions League campaign, and all at right back, all trusted with marking some of the best that Asia has to offer in an attacking sense. Just getting mixed up with Fornaroli there. Adelaide haven't had much of it inside 6 minutes. Dorigo linking up with Halloran. Tommy Urich copped a little knock there. See how much they miss, we'll only know in about just under 2 hours' time, Robbie. Stephen Mork and the drive in midfield that he provides. Konstantopoulos is full of energy, but whether or not he can provide what Stephen Mork can do.
Well, particularly in the form he was in, he was practically man of the match against Melbourne City. Had a super game. So he's a big loss, but Castro on the other hand is a big loss for Perth. With games coming thick and fast for all clubs, the squads are going to be tested this season. There is no doubt about that.
They're building quite a nice squad as well, Perth Glory, with a bit of depth to it. The worry was in the Champions League, all this youth being given a go, and a number of players out of the NPL setup and the academy. It was, okay, what's that depth going to look like? Timmins with a heavy touch has to chase it down and does well. Steins was one of the most impressive players, the 24 out there for Perth Glory. His goal against Ulsan Hyundai is not a moment he'll forget in a hurry. And Fornaroli was in a dangerous position there. It's all Perth. The top, Fornaroli running in beyond, and Delianov comes out for it, crashes everyone over, leaps on the ball, penalty. He's taken out Fornaroli in the eyes of the referee, Adam Fielding, and James Delianov has now got to try and keep it at 0-0 after making a misjudgment.
Yeah, it looked real time like a penalty, and this is where Fornaroli is so clever. Back to goal, he swivels on that, and he draws the foul. Delianov, at that point, once Fornaroli turns like that, he's got to pull out. And that, for me, that's a clear-cut penalty because Fornaroli's in possession of the ball. It's a good decision from the referee. A rush of blood from Delianov, who's been so good for Adelaide.
He has been. The youngster, the 21-year-old, making his 4th A-League appearance. But he hasn't given Kurt Hams much to do in that regard, because he not only took out Mikael Jakobsen, he missed the ball and took out Bruno Fornaroli in one action. So big moment early on here. Interesting to see who's on penalties. It's Kilkenny still.
He hasn't missed one, has he?
He has been the nominated penalty taker for Perth Glory for good reason. He's never missed a penalty. .88 on the back, looking to keep the 100% record from the spot. The captain, Neil Kilkenny. Has got Perth off to the perfect start at home for the new season.
Yeah, full of concentration, straight down the middle. Delianoff, not sure how far his leg was away from it, but he's hit it with quite some power. Delianoff going to his right, but he kept his nerve. Kilkenny, clear-cut penalty. So clever the way he does that, Fornaroli, the use of the body, and that one straight down the guts to give Perth a perfect start. And you talked about goals in this fixture. Well, we've got one early, and it's the captain, Kilkenny, who keeps his nerve and puts Perth into the lead.
They've settled well early. Perth, who's at the top, looking to hit the ground running. They've certainly done that, and Adelaide just haven't been able to get into the game as yet. So see how they try and do that. It's the ball down that end, and it's not a bad pick out from the 100-gamer in Jordan Elsey, but Ben Halloran, in keeping with this start from Adelaide, just a little off cue.
Yeah, he's operating on this left-hand side, Cooley on the right-hand side. I think Halloran, his best games have undoubtedly come from the right-hand side. Oh, Perth sharp. One-touch football, moving the ball well.
It's like watching Sheva at the moment. That little 15 seconds, and Perth are away down the left through Ingham, who links up with Steins.
Which you see there, number 9, just asking the Adelaide midfielders to push on, to move forward. A little bit stretched.
There's a lot of space, wasn't there, between those at the back and those at the front for Adelaide United. Gave Perth Glory the opportunity for what they've just done. And it's Keogh out, way out in the left, and Steins puts a little shimmy on and wins a corner.
And that's what Keogh does. You know, he won't stay one side. He works right across the front. So you'll see Fornaroli stay more pivotal.
Daniel Steins, 4 games in the Asian Champions League, and he's a great story because he was with Perth Glory as a young fella and then dropped out. So he went, right, I want to make a fist of this. I'll go back to NPL land and pick up my career. Here's Kilkenny with the corner. He obviously heads away, not for the first time in his 100 games in this competition. Out to Rawlins. Got Coletti for company. Gets away a pretty good cross, but Delianoff comes out to claim. But yeah, Daniel Steins, he went to Bentley and Guelph, Croatia, over in Perth as well to get going. He actually signed a deal with Perth Glory, scholarship deal, and went out and trained that day. So the ink wasn't even dry, and then he suffered an extremely bad hamstring injury, which curtailed things. So it's perseverance plus, and finally he makes his A-League debut for his hometown club at the age of 22. Here's a chance now for Adelaide to settle in a meaningful position on the pitch. Juric with his first few touches in a row of the game. De Cooley has to stretch, but he's good enough to bring it back. Link up with Konstantopoulos. To Maroney. Crosses and crosses well. It's a good header away from the young midfielder, Timmins.
It was, because Juric was just behind, so that was by far Adelaide's best move so far in this game. Decent ball from Moroney, and you see Juric just behind. Aspro was with him as well.
Konstantopoulos it is with the corner. Jakobsen nearly flicks it on, trips himself up. Everyone shouting for a corner or a goal kick. Fielding says goal kick. And at the moment, Robbie, it looks like Adelaide United are the side that hasn't played since early December and have spent some time in quarantine.
Well, it's a tough trip. You're away to Perth, and it's early in the season, so you know they haven't played for 17 days either. So I wonder if that's a rehearsed one. We saw a wonderful rehearsed goal from them against Melbourne City by Tommy Juric.
Wonder how many of those have been worked on the training pitch, not relying on just the one or two.
Well, they've certainly had time.
That's all they've done. They didn't play any practice matches, Adelaide, in the time that they had off. They just played some 11v11s at training. Here's Timmins, given the nod in the centre of the park.
Yeah, Timmins and Steins in there, and Kilkenny, you know, bossing them, and it's his experience is key for those young players as well.
He looks to be offside, Steins, and the whistle eventually comes when the flag goes up. Yeah, just on Timmins, he would have been good for that Champions League campaign. He fitted the profile. He's 21-year-old, hasn't played many games. This is his fourth A-League game, but because he was born in England, he's a Brummie from Birmingham. His nationality still counts as a foreigner in that competition, not in the A-League, but unfortunately that meant that he couldn't go over there, or they didn't take him, but he slotted in just fine in his first 15 minutes of this season. Smith, as advanced as he's been. Noah Smith, the left back. Coletti gives the ball straight to Dorigo, and he had Timmins in his back pocket. Moroney. Yaya Cooley. Oh, he's got speed. See what he can do here to Dane Ingham. He takes him all the way to the byline, and well, it was an encouraging sign for Yaya Cooley, even though it didn't come off, Robbie. It was direct.
No, but he's positive and direct. Look at this turn of pace here. He's a little bit unlucky because he's trying to go around the back. It's just that touch there wasn't, just got a bit of toe on it and went straight instead of angling along that byline.
Calvert, 7 games in, undefeated as an A-League boss. Record which, even though it's very, very early, but the start of this game indicates that it could be under a little bit of threat at the moment. See if Adelaide settle off these couple of moments they've had in the last few minutes. Not now at the moment. It's time to defend again. D'Agostino's looking to get on the end of a ball from Andy Keogh, and Delianov left his leg out there, and D'Agostino, it was like trying to crush through a turnstile. Season for Nick D'Agostino to get a run of games in the A-League hasn't quite happened for him yet.
Well, he was the hero of the Olympic side, wasn't he? And he was in wonderful form before COVID struck. He gets a start today. Operating out on that left-hand side. You see he comes in, tucks in, because he's not a winger. But I imagine with Keogh, they have license to roam across the front.
It's working really well for Perth at the moment. They're able to either play around or through Adelaide United, and this time it's around and down the flank, and Fornaroli has a massive chance to open his account for the season. Another one coming perhaps. Jakobsen's head gets in the way. It's all Perth.
Terrific block from Noah Smith.
Rawlins within some encouraging words from someone in the crowd. Maybe a relation. Have a go at him, but come back out, Perth, and having real success. And
well, it was Steins down that left-hand side, and he didn't look favoured to be able to get a cross in, and he pulled it back beautifully for Fornaroli. Another, well, a big chance for Perth. Good run deep, it's not tracked. Elsie looks like he's got him covered. That's a good block. You just wonder whether the defender turned his back, whether he would have gone for a feint.
Here's Fornaroli again. Oh, Rawlins is in here because he's got beyond Halloran, who just let him go, and more problems for Adelaide United. They're just in sync at the moment. Whatever Richard Garcia's been doing on the training pitch, it's paying off. Bruno Fornaroli looking to keep this kind of record going. It's that statistic's blown out a tad. These are the minimum 40 goals in the A-League right now, players. Games per goal. And Bruno's actually 1 in 9 at the moment, which is most unlike him. 61 and 98 all up. Stephen McGarry on the bench with ex-Perth Glory player with Richard Garcia. But corner in from Kilkenny. Jakobsen again. Ingham. This time Urich defending. Rawlins thought about the shot. Timmins. Well left by Aspropotomides to Fornaroli and D'Agostino to link up. Look at all these Adelaide bodies that are needed back there to repel another Perth adventure forward. Fornaroli. And Rawlins, and they're happy to do this, aren't they, Robbie? That instead of forcing the issue through, just come back out and try and get out the other side.
Keeping possession well, and touches are good, and Adelaide can't get close to them at the moment. Well, they are close to them, but they can't get a foot in. There it is, tells the story. Nearly 70% possession for Perth Glory. That's the important one. 57% of that is in Adelaide's territory.
Would you say the issue at the moment for Adelaide is, though, that even when they get the ball, they're finding it extremely difficult to string more than 5 passes?
Well, the issue for them at the moment is they're second best all over the park.
So
individual battles are being won by pretty much all the Perth players.
That's a slight problem when it all adds up. So see if they can play through this time. And you wouldn't know it, that list of unavailable personnel for Perth Glory. Castro, Brandon Wilson, minor problem. Aussie Malik, poor old Aussie, another injury for him, a dislocated shoulder. Chris Economides, his return is coming along nicely from a ACL problem. Those two players, those two international players, Otter and Longkamp, the German Longkamp is still over in Germany awaiting a visa to get in the country. And Otter, the Japanese international, gets out of quarantine on January 30. Posted a big let's go message to his teammates with his son in the background. He'll be a great addition to the A-League. Over 300 games of J-League experience, and Joe Coletti continues this poorest start for Adelaide United.
Yeah, this is just an individual mistake. It takes a touch and turns into trouble. And well, it wasn't the pull on the shirt. It was more on the shorts to drag Keogh down. And midfield there, you know, Dorigo, Coletti, Constantopoulos, and just not anywhere close to their counterparts of Kilkenny, Timmins and Steins, who are really running the show.
Kilkenny just smashes a long ball in the hope of Rawlins getting on the end of it. Was not far off, but here's another chance for Adelaide United to try and play through the middle. Something that you mentioned, the midfield there, Robbie. They just haven't been able to do it. The way Perth Glory have set up defensively is acted like a boa constrictor. Just nothing available. There may be a tweak coming up for Carl Viet in order to get those midfield three on the ball somehow. Daryl Latchman. 30 caps for Curaçao. Caribbean nation. Dutch-born, but Ajax youth as well, the big defender. Steins back to goal, but holds on to possession. Neat ball to Kilkenny, who was in an unfamiliar position right on that left wing. Fornaroli trying to bring in D'Agostino, who can perhaps run in on goal. Wasn't given. Here's Rawlins again, quite happy to not just hug the touchline and come in and get involved. Back to Delianov. Elsie has to take it sideways to go forward, and they're out now through Moroney. Now Smith, lane blocked off by D'Agostino, but gets away with it. And Smith tries with the outside of the boot, and neat little ball through to Konstantopoulos, almost. And that's better from Adelaide. Very static from Adelaide, but there's a chance down this right-hand side, and it comes over to Juric, and Halloran and De Cooley have actually swapped sides. That was Halloran on that occasion from the right. There's Fornaroli, Timmins. Well, you get your wish, Robbie. Halloran over there on the right.
I think he's much more effective, and particularly with his left foot, should be more comfortable on this left-hand side. Maybe again, they just won't have license to change when they feel.
Carl Veart in the last couple of minutes has turned into the drill sergeant from Forrest Gump. He's just yelling his head off, trying to get some effort, extra little bit of effort out of his players, especially on the close down when Perth Glory are playing out, because at the moment it has been a little easy for Perth to do what they want in possession. Jakobsen just smashes a big diagonal ball out to Halloran, who can't quite keep it in.
Yeah, just overhit, but here they've got a chance to keep Perth hemmed in.
Fornaroli. Loose touch, unusual. That just then, when Jakobsen played the ball over, that's the deepest Perth have set up defensively. And maybe that's a sign, perhaps 26 minutes in, that the hyperactivity has gone out of the legs of Perth without possession. Smith, who can play forward. Dorigo is looking for the ball around the corner to his young winger. Didn't quite come off, but certainly noticeable the last couple of minutes Perth have dropped off without the ball. Juric wins a foul. Smart use of the body there from Socceroos striker.
Decent position this. For Adelaide, that was their best little period of possession. Ends up with a mistake from Perth Glory and gives them this free kick.
It's going to be Nathan Konstantopoulos. And Yaya's standing over the ball with his left foot as well. What do you reckon, Robbie? Tail one in with the left, or have a pop with the right top left corner of Liam Reddy's goal?
Well, it's certainly hittable from that kind of distance, isn't it? Doesn't appear, he's not shaping like that's what's going to happen.
With that run up, you'd have to have the world's strongest quads. That's a set move. Another set move from Adelaide United. shout of a handball on Kilkenny.
I tell you what, if the pass was better, he was in.
Special teams play. It's like an NFL team, Adelaide United, with some of these set plays.
Well, the player who was the bouncer missed his pass.
It's pretty easy for Perth to play out. D'Agostino's drifted out onto the left, and a little feint there from Andy Keogh. Sign of the relationship building between he and Fornaroli. I think defensively they're going to get a lot out of that partnership as well. Perth, I know that sounds ridiculous when we're talking about two strikers, but they're two guys that don't mind doing the dirty work to try and get the ball back. It's over the top, and possibly the assistant was looking at raising the flag if it got through to Keogh. It didn't. Juric winning another foul. This time, Papadimides giving away the free kick. Konstantopoulos was a little more flamboyant than he needed to be in that situation, giving away possession, and it's Latchman, Timmins, and out to Papadimides, who's stuck the letters back on the name. It was Aspro for a while there, but
he's staying Aspro for me.
He can do what he wants with his name. I'll go with whatever's on the back of the jersey. You can do what you want to do.
His parents might have had something to do with it. Good on them as well.
And they'll be watching as well.
Of course they will.
Paulie's old man. Jonathan's actually a Newcastle United fan. One of the very few in the world at the moment admitting to the fact.
No, don't you worry about the Jets. They'll stay loyal.
I'm not talking about them. He's Daniel Steins. He's thinking about possibly trying to get close enough to having a pop, but instead he links up with D'Agostino and Timmins, who's looked so comfortable in these early stages of central midfield. Steins as well.
Steins is clever. He gives them that little bit of width, and he goes from midfield because he knows D'Agostino, so it's a little rotation there. I'm not sure if it's meant, but Steins is willing to sacrifice, you know, that central position and give a little bit of width.
And allows Ingham to take up the more central position on this occasion as he stays wide, and now he's on the close down of Halloran. And again, Adelaide United have to try and play out through traffic. A lot of bodies back. The problem is when you win the ball back, who have you got to pass to? And instead it's up to Juric, and he manages to win a throw and relieve a bit of pressure. I'd like to play a game of tackle bull rush against Darryl Latchman just quietly. He's a unit. Keogh and Kilkenny back together again. Steins has to stretch. He's got the experience of Morone in his back pocket. Yeah, he values possession, even in the final third, Steins. He doesn't do silly things with it. He's not, as you describe on occasions, a fish up a tree when he's getting into advanced positions. Fornaroli's little poke almost comes off for Steins with the spin on the ball. Is Ingham, drops to him again. Neat little touch to bring it down.
Kilkenny always takes that deep position, always is the way out for Perth Glory.
I think Jakobsen has kept Fornaroli on side here. Certainly the flag stays down for now. Fornaroli, a bit of dancing, finds D'Agostino. Perhaps it was better off for Rawlins. Anyway, Steins will have a pop. Morone's in the way.
Yeah, Rawlins was the one there. D'Agostino might have just dummied that one or taken a touch and played him in.
It's all Perth again. Timmins stretches and retain possession into the final third. Again, an inviting-looking ball from Dane Ingham. Steins leaps highest. It fell for Keogh. Falls this time for D'Agostino. It gets a touch on the way in. He'll claim it, D'Agostino. And Perth a 2 to the good.
Well, Adelaide had their chances to clear that. And it was rather scrappy, but it falls to D'Agostino. Didn't need asking the question. He's put his boot through it. He sort of half hit it into the ground. That's the start of it. This is Ingham. Couldn't really get going down the left-hand side. Swings it in. There's the first header, stretching Jakobsen. Could have been a better challenge there. And then Jakobsen stumbling. And the ball forced D'Agostino, pulls the trigger, and it's got too much on it. They can't stop it. Steins with a good header there. It's goal bound. It's at D'Agostino's goal. It's going to creep in at that far post. It was Elsey with the attempted block, and Perth, just the pressure they put on Adelaide's defence there. They end up with the second goal.
Approaching his 50th A-League game. For an attacking player, the goal-scoring rate needs to go in the right direction, and that'll help for Nick D'Agostino. He's 7th in the league. He's 4th for Perth. And glory, you can't say they haven't deserved this, given their performance so far and the pressure they've put Adelaide United under. That last 5 minutes, Robbie, it was just building.
And again, individual battles. Steins, you know, wants it more, wins that header, that crucial header. Ends up, 2 seconds later falling to D'Agostino, and it's in the back of the net.
Halloran for the first time, bit of a gallop for the speedy winger. Konstantopoulos wins a corner, but there was only 2 Adelaide players in the box. On their heels, the Reds in yellow away from home. See if it's another set piece. It's a more conventional looking corner, and Keogh trying to win a foul. Coletti in on Kilkenny. Maroney trying to win a foul, and does. There's another one given away by Timmins, who gave the one away earlier on Tommy Urich. Much in it, but still. Cooley floats one, and it's carnage at the back post. At least they attack the ball in some way.
Yeah, but difficult one. De Cooley, it's not the greatest of crosses, is it? With his left foot here, it's a long time in the air, not much pace on it. Easy for the defenders to just do enough, and that's what they did there. Without actually winning the ball, they made it too difficult for either Halloran or Elsey to get on the end of that. Fornaroli's gone on his own there. Adelaide, quite simply, have just not turned up.
No.
In this first half. Take nothing away from Perth's play. Tommy Urich now with a good run. And he starts something. Give a spark to Adelaide. Get another corner.
Giving it as a goal kick.
Really?
I think Tommy Urich agrees with the decision. It looked like a corner.
Liam Reddy at 39 says, mate, I've seen it all before. So you get some, you don't get some. And at this point in time, Adelaide need one. Let's have another look. It's clearly a corner.
I can't say it. Lutchman's gone over for the corner.
Yeah.
He's just jogged off straight away, and the spin on the ball.
It was a corner. Lutchman's having a conversation with Tommy. He's probably saying, well, it's not my fault.
Halloran, asking Adam Fielding of his interpretation of that particular foul when he, what he thought was a foul, when he tried to play through ball to Eurich there, but play on. Already a little bit out of home base. To Noah Smith, and Perth encouraged, no doubt, to win the ball back quickly. Now 2 goals to the good. And in complete control here at HBF Park in their first home game in 318 days, and it's been worth the wait so far for home fans. And look at this from Dane Ingham, nearly linking up beautifully with Andy Keogh. Just that heavy touch undid the left back. Just their cohesion is wonderful at the moment, Robbie.
Very impressive in this first half. I think Adelaide, 5 minutes or so, just over till half-time, will be getting a bit of a talking to at half-time.
Well, you wonder how they change it in order to get players like Dorigo and Coletti a more comfortable look at possession as Eurich stretches to an under-hit pass from Latchman. It's one thing to have quick wingers, and they've got 2 of the quickest in the entire league, Gooley and Halloran, but they just haven't got a look, no quality to them at this stage. Steins has got a paddock to run into here in front of him. Keogh and Fornaroli making a run, and Coletti's just looks like he's got a piano on his back trying to chase him. Right there, it's just testament to the amount of running that this Adelaide midfield has had to do without the ball.
You know, they've just overran them in the middle of the park. It'll be an easy one for Delianov, but Steins has caused all sorts of problems on that left-hand side. His willingness to go from midfield and break into that left channel.
And that wasn't a crack at Coletti about his physical attributes. He's got to be superhuman to be able to be sprightly after the amount of running that he's had to do. The VA2 Max has to be up with a Tour de France rider to be able to get through all the work that he's had to do. Here's a chance now. So Halloran beyond for the first time. Cuts back on the right, but Ingham stuffs it up completely, and Konstantopoulos out of nowhere gets one back for Adelaide.
And sometimes that's all you need, a bit of luck. That's a mistake from Perth. Konstantopoulos pounces and finishes it well. That's a good pass to Halloran. And you think the chance may be gone there, Halloran coming back onto his right foot. Decent cross, but should have been dealt with by Ingham. And he's Johnny on the spot and puts Adelaide right back into it.
Absolutely. Hard to measure the amount of encouragement that gives Adelaide United if they go in at this stage, given what's happened so far in this 42 minutes at HBF Park, to go in with this scoreline. With their first shot of the game, they drag it back to 2-1. So goals are plenty again in this fixture. That's now 20 in nearly 3.5 games. Going to get another 3-3, another 5-3. Wouldn't say no.
It'll be interesting to see what it does to the momentum of the game.
There's a clash off the ball between Rawlins and Halloran. Even though Perth are going forward, Rawlins hasn't even thought about getting up. Fortunately, his teammates haven't even thought about kicking the ball out. And goes out inadvertently off Steins, who overhit a through ball. Let's see that one again, because I don't think Halloran nor Rawlins knew the proximity to each other until it was much too late. A little flick from Halloran. I don't think there was any malice in it. Right.
Well, he certainly flicked out. There's no doubt about it.
Shane Skinner, the 4th official. If he wasn't looking at that, I'm not entirely sure what he was looking at, because he was right there.
Well,
didn't get involved.
Had a couple, had one on the Central Coast with a clash with Ziggy Gordon and Matt Simon. course, the reference now in kick-outs is Alex Rufer for Wellington, who did nothing wrong at all and copped a one-match ban.
Which the referee's boss has come out and said was a complete mistake at the time, unfortunately. So,
well, it was unfortunate for Wellington on the day, and it was unfortunate for the player because he misses a game when he's done absolutely nothing wrong. In a game that Wellington would, dare I say it, probably on their way to winning.
You know when someone reminds you of something bad that's happened, but you've forgotten it, and then you get reminded of it? Ufuk Tallay's watching this game, perhaps, hopefully with the sound down. He hasn't been reminded of that as they prepare for their next clash against Newcastle this weekend. Anyway, back to this one, and Yaya Zakuli's stretching everything to run it down, and unfortunately can't quite by a matter of centimetres. Coach Kilkenny.
Yep. Well, if he doesn't get it, whoever he's talking to, that's what you want. That's what Garcia wants from Kilkenny in a structured way. One mistake from Dane Ingham, putting Adelaide right back in the contest.
Structured, is that what you call that from Neil Kilkenny?
Hey, it's a tough game.
No, it's not tiddlywinks for 7-year-olds. Manners an afterthought. That's sloppy from Perth. And here they go again, and Maroney is trying to get around the back of DeCooley, who floats another one in with a bit of air on it. Juric had a lot of company. He had to do really well there. He's offside as the ball comes back aerially. And Steins gets a little nick on that one. Fornaroli. Rawlins. That's a good ball from Kilkenny. We've seen that before to Andy Keogh a few seasons back. D'Agostino looking to take Dorigo on one-on-one. And Fielding thinking about the book. D'Agostino was a neat little move.
They're clever. That's the one way to stop him. You know, that rotation up front of Keogh, Fornaroli and D'Agostino has certainly given them problems. None of them, not one of those players staying in a fixed position. Popping up all across the front line.
Kilkenny sends it in. It's a free header for Andy Keogh, who nearly gets a goal on his return.
Flat delivery. I tell you, it's a great attempt from Keogh. Just off target. Delianov, you can see how worried he was. It flashes past that far post. Super header.
He's right on that last line, Andy Keogh, as he is known to be from set pieces. But it looks like the same Andy Keogh that we last saw in the A-League a couple of seasons ago, Robbie.
Yeah.
Hasn't lost much in the time that he spent overseas in the Middle East and India.
And Tommy Juric hasn't had much service. I tell you, he's battled well up front for Adelaide. But they go in with that big positive of pulling one back when really they've been outplayed.
Yeah, massive bonus for Adelaide United with their lone shot on target, lone shot full stop in this first half. Perth Glory with the run of it all throughout that first half, apart from one moment where Dane Ingham had lovered back. Unfortunately, there's no time machines in football, so that is half-time at HBF Park. A near-perfect performance from Perth to start the season, but as it stands right now, at half-time, it is Perth Glory 2, Adelaide United 1. On a warm evening in the west.